The elite Starlight International Academy looked like a palace dipped in gold every morning. Marble floors polished so bright they reflected the sunrise, chandeliers glittering like constellations, and fountains singing outside the main gates. Students arrived in luxury cars, each one carrying a backpack worth more than the monthly salary of the men who cleaned the hallways. One of those men was Ayan Malik, a quiet single dad who reported for duty every morning at 5 a.m., long before the billionaire kids woke up. Ayan pushed his cleaning cart through the silent corridors, the wheels squeaking softly. He liked the silence. It let him think. Life had not been kind to him since his wife passed away 3 years ago, leaving him to raise their 9-year-old daughter, Mina, alone. But he never complained. He worked 3 jobs, slept 4 hours, and still managed to braid his daughter's hair every morning before school. Starlight Academy only hired him because they needed a janitor who wouldn't disturb the students. Ayan fit that requirement too well. Most kids didn't even know his name. To everybody, he was simply the janitor. But today, something felt different. As Ayan finished sweeping the corridor outside Class 7A, he heard a sudden crash, like books thrown against a wall. Then a frustrated shout. "I don't get it. I don't get any of this." Ayan flinched. The voice was unmistakable. Rayyan and Zion Khan, the billionaire's twin sons. Everyone in the school knew them. The twins were handsome, spoiled, and brutally intelligent in everything except academics. Somehow, despite having the richest tutors, the latest AI study tools, and the school's best teachers on speed dial, the boys kept failing almost every test. Their father, Shamir Khan, CEO of Contech Global, was furious. The rumor was he had threatened to pull them out of school if they didn't pass the finals next week, even send them to a military academy abroad. The twins were terrified. Ayan had seen this fear before. In his daughter's eyes when she tried to solve homework she didn't understand. In himself, when he didn't know how he'd pay rent. He knew that sound. He understood that pain. Ayan hesitated, wondering if he should walk away. Janitors should never interfere. But the crash came again, this time with a choked sob. Against his better judgment, he peeked into the classroom. The sight broke his heart. Rayyan was gripping his hair so tightly his knuckles were white. Zion was staring blankly at a math workbook, eyes watery, face pale. Books were scattered everywhere. Ayan stepped inside lightly. "Beta sabthi khai?" The twins jerked upright. Zion wiped his eyes quickly. "We're fine. Leave." Rayyan pointed angrily at the door. "This is private. You're not supposed to be here." Ayan nodded politely and began backing out, but then he noticed something on the floor. A crumpled test paper. He picked it up instinctively. Rayyan snapped, "Don't." But he had already seen the marks. Red ink everywhere. Answers wrong, concepts misunderstood. Rush steps. But one thing stood out. Every mistake was the same type. Ayan tilted his head. "You both always think fast, right?" The twins looked confused. Ayan continued softly. "Par kabi kabi, Zayada sakna, gala jawab dita hai." Zion frowned. "What do you mean?" Ayan walked to the whiteboard, picked up a marker, and without asking permission, wrote a simple equation. 7 times 3 is equal to? The twins rolled their eyes. 21, Rayyan said instantly. "Everyone knows that," Zion added. Ayan smiled. "Good. Now, answer this." He wrote underneath. 3 times 7 is equal to? The twins exchanged annoyed glances. "It's the same thing." Ayan leaned forward. "Exactly. Same cheese du terra esi sok sokto. Jab ektarika mushkil age, dusra tricaro. Problems don't change, your angle does." A silence settled over the room. The twins stared at him. Ayan put the marker down and began wheeling his cart away. "Bas yehi secret the jo meri beti ko help karta hai. Tum dono ko bikaregat shayad." He left without another word. But his simple demonstration landed like lightning. The twins had never looked at a problem from more than one angle. They were trained to move quickly, think quickly, expect quick answers. But this janitor, this nobody, had shown them something no expensive tutor ever had. A new way to think. As Ayan turned the corner, Rayyan whispered, "Did he just teach us something?" Zion nodded slowly. "I think so." For the first time all year, the Billionaire twins didn't feel stupid. They felt hopeful. But neither of them had any idea that this janitor, the man everyone ignored, would soon become the only person standing between them and disaster. And that the one secret he hinted at would change their entire lives. The next morning, Ayan arrived early, as usual. The corridors were empty, sunlight slowly washing over the marble floors. He hummed softly while checking his supply cart. Extra mop heads, disinfectant, trash bags. Another long day. He didn't expect to see anyone at 6 a.m. But when he turned toward classroom 7, he froze. The Billionaire twins were already there. Rayyan and Zion sat at separate desks, notebooks open, pencils in hand, staring at the whiteboard like soldiers awaiting orders. Ayan blinked. "Beta, tamitni suba?" Zion shot to his feet. "We need your help." Rayyan crossed his arms. "What you taught yesterday, it made sense. We want more." Ayan's heart squeezed. Students avoided him. Teachers pity-glanced him. Parents never even greeted him. But these boys, these stressed, brilliant twins, had returned. For his guidance. "Aap dano ko main kia shika saktahun?" he said quietly. "You have the best tutors in the country." Rayyan looked away. "They don't teach us. They'll lecture us." Zion added, "You showed us how to understand." Ayan hesitated. He was a janitor. They were billionaire heirs. This shouldn't, even ethically, be happening. But something in their eyes reminded him of Mina, his daughter, on nights when homework crushed her confidence. And no matter how tired he was after 14-hour shifts, Ayan always sat with her, showing her the world from angles she had never seen. Maybe these boys needed that same kind of help. "Thikai," Ayan said softly. "Ek hour. Ba ek hour. Before your classes begin." Rayyan and Zion nodded eagerly. The first lesson. Ayan erased the equations from yesterday and drew a triangle. Then he wrote, "This is not a triangle." The twins stared. Rayyan frowned. "But it is a triangle." Ayan shook his head. "Only if your mind decides it is." He flipped the board upside down, then sideways. "Sometimes," he said, "a question is harder not because it's difficult, but because your mind is stuck in only one direction." He handed them each a small puzzle cube from his cart. "Turn it. Break the pattern. Don't solve the problem. Solve the way you look at the problem." For the next hour, the twins learned something they had never been taught. How to think. How to pause. How to breathe. How to approach a question from multiple perspectives. Ayan wasn't teaching formulas. He was teaching clarity. And the boys absorbed it like thirsty soil. When the school bell finally rang, Rayyan said, "Same time tomorrow?" Ayan smiled. "Agar aap dano waki parnachat homain hoon." The twins nodded. It was a promise. But outside that room, someone had been watching. The eavesdropper. Behind the half-open door of the adjacent classroom stood Mrs. Arifa, the strict vice principal, the woman known for her hawk-like eyes and razor tongue. She had seen everything. And she was furious. "A janitor," she hissed under her breath. "Teaching billionaire heirs? Teaching any student." She stormed to her office and grabbed her phone. "This could cost me my job," she muttered, "but it will destroy his." She called the one person who would listen. Shamir Khan, the twins' father. The billionaire's anger. Shamir Khan was in a meeting with global investors when his secretary whispered, "Sir, it's urgent." Vice Principal Arifa. He frowned and stepped outside. "What is it?" Arifa's voice came out tight. "Sir, your sons have been receiving academic instruction from a janitor." Shamir went silent. Then his anger erupted.
"What?
"A janitor? At my son's school. He has overstepped his position, sir. I pay for the best teachers, the best tutors, the best everything, and my boys are learning from someone who pushes a mop?" He slammed his hand onto his desk. "Fire him. Today." "Yes, sir." The twins discovered the truth. Rayyan and Zion found Ayan in the hallway that afternoon, quietly cleaning gum off the lockers. Rayyan grinned. We tried your method in class. We both got the practice problems right. Ayan smiled warmly. Good. I knew you could. But then he noticed their shadows change. Vice Principal Arifa was approaching. Her heels struck the floor like weapons. She folded her arms and glared. Janitor Ayan. Follow me. Now. Rayyan stepped forward. If this is about us. Not a word from either of you, she snapped. Zion's voice trembled. Please don't scold him. We asked for help. I said silence. Arifa marched Ayan into her office and shut the door. The twins waited outside, ears pressed to the wall. Inside, Arifa's voice thundered. How dare you teach the children? Your job is cleaning floors, not interfering. Ayan responded calmly. Ma'am, they asked for help. You are not qualified. You are not allowed. And you are not staying here any longer. Ayan's breath caught. Ma'am, I need this job. You should have thought of that before. You're fired. The silence after the storm. Ayan walked out slowly, his ID badge already removed. His hands trembled as he clutched the small box of belongings they'd let him pack. The twins froze. Ayan? Rayyan whispered. Zion's throat tightened. No. No, this is our fault. They fired you because of us. Ayan tried to smile. Nahin, beta. Sometimes doing the right thing costs us something, but it's still right. Tears filled both boys' eyes. APKL for Ange. Rayyan asked weakly. Ayan shook his head. I'm not allowed here anymore. The twins looked shattered. Before Ayan turned to leave, he said something they would remember for the rest of their lives. Secret ya nahi the ko answers kais don't hain. Secret ya the ko tum dano kuch be seek sokt ho. Agar tumhara dil sikni ko tayar ho. Without another word, he walked out of Starlight Academy. The Billionaire twins watched the only person who had ever believed in their abilities disappear through the front gate. But destiny wasn't done with them yet, because that same evening, their father, Shamir Khan, called them to his private study, and what he told them would shake their lives to the core. The Khan mansion stood on a hill overlooking the entire city, a fortress of glass, steel, and silent pressure. Inside, the hallways were lined with paintings worth millions, but none of them held warmth. Everything was cold, perfect, untouched. Just like Shamir Khan's expectations. That night, the twins entered their father's private study with their hearts pounding. They had been summoned before, but never with a tone so rigid, so icy, so filled with disappointment. Shamir didn't look up when they arrived. He stood by the tall window, staring at the city lights like a king judging his kingdom. Sit. The boys obeyed instantly. The room was suffocatingly quiet. Only the ticking of the grandfather clock filled the space, counting down the seconds to something they both feared. Finally, Shamir turned around. I was informed, he began slowly, that the two of you have been taking lessons from a janitor. Rayyan's heart dropped. Zion's fingers curled into fists. The twins exchanged a quick glance. This was going to be bad. Before they could speak, Shamir slammed his fist on the table. Papers scattered. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is for me? The boys flinched but said nothing. Ayan Malik, Shamir spat the name like poison. A man who wipes floors, teaches you? My sons? He has ruined your discipline, your respect, your future. Stop. Rayyan burst out. Shamir froze. Zion followed, voice shaking. He didn't ruin anything. He taught us more in 2 hours than all the tutors you hired taught in 2 years. Shamir narrowed his eyes, furious. So now you're defending him? He understands us, Rayyan said. He listens, Zion added. The words sliced through Shamir unexpectedly. Something dark flickered in his eyes. Hurt? Anger? Memory? But the moment passed. You are Khan boys, he said coldly. You don't need understanding. You need discipline. Success. Results. We do want results, Rayyan said, voice trembling. But your way doesn't work for us. We're not machines, Zion whispered. We're your sons. For the first time in their lives, Shamir stepped back. He stared at them quietly, breathing heavily. Then he walked to his desk, opened a drawer, and pulled out a stack of papers, their past test results. He threw them onto the table. All failures. All red marks. All reminders of how hopeless they felt. "You think I'm angry because you failed?" Shamir said softly. His voice had changed. It wasn't thunder anymore. It was quieter, heavier. "I'm angry because I'm losing you." The twins froze. Shamir's eyes glimmered, not with rage, but something the boys had never seen before. Fear. "I know I'm hard on you," he said, "but I wasn't raised with softness. My father beat success into me. He believed pain made me stronger. I promised myself I would never do that to my children." He looked at his sons with a heartbreakingly honest expression. "And yet, somewhere along the way, I became him." The room fell silent. Rayyan swallowed hard. "Then why fire the only person who helped us?" Shamir stiffened. His jaw tightened. "Because I thought he was overstepping. Because I thought you were being manipulated. Because you didn't trust us," Zion finished. The words hit Shamir like a punch. The twins lowered their heads. "We weren't failing because we're dumb," Rayyan said quietly. "We were failing because we were scared," Zion whispered. "Scared of you," they said together. Shamir staggered back. For the first time in years, the powerful billionaire looked powerless. He sank into his chair. "I fired him thinking I was protecting you," he murmured. "But I made it worse." Rayyan's voice cracked. "We need him, Dad." "He taught us a secret," Zion said. "Something nobody ever taught us before." Shamir leaned forward, exhausted. "What secret?" Rayyan took a deep breath. "That learning isn't about being perfect," Zion continued. "It's about looking at problems differently. Changing angles. Changing perspectives. He taught us how to think, not what to think." Silence. Then Shamir whispered something none of them expected. "Where is he now?" The twins looked at each other. "He left the school," Rayyan said. "Probably went home," Zion added. "But we don't know where he lives." Shamir rose from his chair with new determination. "Then we'll find him." The twins blinked. "What?" Shamir grabbed his coat. "If he can help you, if he can teach you better than all the professionals I hired, then he deserves respect. And I owe him an apology." The boys stared, stunned. Their father, the man who never apologized, never bent, never admitted fault, was willing to go find a janitor? Rayyan whispered. "You're really going?" Shamir nodded. "For you." For the first time in a long time, the twins smiled through their tears. Together, the three of them walked toward the door. But as they stepped out, they didn't realize the one person who'd caused the chaos. Vice Principal Arifa was listening from the shadows, her eyes burning with jealousy and fear. Because if Shamir found out what she had done, her career would be over. Night had fallen across the city by the time Shamir's black SUV stopped in front of a narrow, crumbling apartment block. The building looked like it was holding itself together with nothing but stubbornness, peeling paint, flickering lights, rusted balconies. Rayyan stared out the window. "This is where he lives?" Zion whispered. "He never told us." Shamir clenched the steering wheel, guilt washing through him like ice water. "This man, this janitor, taught my sons with more heart than people I paid millions to." They stepped out, the billionaire's polished shoes echoing sharply against the broken pavement. Residents peeked through windows, some shocked, some terrified. A contact car in their street? Impossible. The twins led the way up the staircase, clutching the scrap of paper where a guard had written Ayan's apartment number. 3rd floor. Door 307. Before they reached it, they heard a coughing sound, soft, weak, familiar. The twins froze. Ayan was standing outside his door, kneeling beside a little girl, his daughter, Mina. She held a tissue to her nose, her tiny shoulders trembling. Ayan was rubbing her back gently. "Ba, Mary John thik ho jao. Baba yahan hai." His voice was soft, breaking. Shamir felt something tighten in his chest. Rayyan whispered, "She's sick." Zion murmured, "He didn't tell us." Ayan turned and froze when he saw them. Shock, worry, embarrassment, all flashed through his eyes. He stood quickly, lifting Mina into his arms like she was made of glass. "Why are you here?" he asked quietly. Shamir stepped forward. Not as a billionaire, not as a CEO, but as a father who had been wrong. "I came to apologize." Ayan blinked. "Sir, you don't need to." "I do." Shamir's voice cracked, surprising even himself. "I thought you were overstepping. I thought my sons needed strictness. Discipline. But I was wrong." Rayyan and Zion hurried forward. "You helped us," Rayyan said. "You believed in us," Zion added. Ayan's eyes softened, but he looked away quickly, as if ashamed of being seen in his poverty. Shamir noticed the cracked door, the dim lights, the thin blanket on Mina's shoulders. "How long has she been sick?" Shamir asked gently. Ayan hesitated. 3 days. 3 days? Rayyan gasped. Zion stepped closer. "Why didn't you take her to a doctor?" Ayan looked down, voice barely a whisper. "Because I lost my job today." The twins' hearts broke. Shamir's jaw tightened with guilt. "I did that. I took away his income, and his child is suffering because of it." Mina coughed again. Ayan held her closer. "Sir," he said quietly, "you didn't have to come here. I know my place. I should not have taught your boys. But they were scared, and I saw myself in them. I just wanted to help." Shamir's voice turned almost fatherly. "What you did was noble. And I made a mistake by punishing you for it." Ayan looked stunned. The twins stepped closer to Mina. "Is she okay?" Rayyan asked gently. Mina managed a tiny smile. "I'm okay, just cold." Zion crouched down. "Hamari galti ki waja esi apko job esi nikalagaya, we're sorry." Ayan shook his head quickly. "No, beta. Never think that. Helping you is worth more than any job." Shamir swallowed hard. "Ayan, if you're willing, come back." Ayan looked up sharply. "I want you at the school," Shamir continued, "not as a janitor, but as a learning coach. Someone who teaches students how to think, how to understand, the way you taught my sons." Ayan stared at him, stunned into silence. "I'll triple your salary," Shamir added softly, "and provide full medical coverage for Mina." At that, Ayan's composure shattered. His eyes filled instantly. His lips trembled. He hugged Mina closer, as if she were the only thing keeping him from falling apart. "Sir, I don't deserve this." Shamir stepped closer. "Yes," he said firmly, "you do. Because you taught my son something no diploma, degree, or tutor could." Ayan wiped his eyes quickly. "What is that?" Rayyan answered. "You taught us how to believe in ourselves." Zion added. "And that learning isn't about being perfect, it's about trying differently." Ayan's tears finally fell. He had spent his life unseen, unheard, unnoticed. But tonight, a billionaire and his son stood at his broken door, offering him dignity, purpose, and a future he never thought possible. Before anyone could speak again, Mina tugged on Ayan's sleeve. "Baba, can they come inside?" Ayan hesitated, embarrassed by his tiny, worn-out apartment. But Shamir smiled gently. "We would be honored." For the first time, Ayan didn't feel small when he opened his door. He felt respected. And he had no idea that tomorrow, when they returned to the school, the truth about Vice Principal Arifa's betrayal would explode, changing everything. The next morning, Starlight International Academy buzzed like a disturbed beehive. Teachers whispered. Students stared. Rumors swirled through the halls like wildfire. Because for the first time, ever, the billionaire Shamir Khan was walking through the school with his twin sons and Ayan. But Ayan wasn't in janitor clothes today. He wore a clean, neatly pressed shirt, borrowed from a neighbor, and he walked with quiet dignity, still nervous, still humble, but no longer invisible. As they stepped into the main lobby, all eyes locked on them. The twins walked proudly beside Ayan. But someone else was watching from the staircase. Vice Principal Arifa. Her face drained of color. No, this can't be happening," she whispered. She hurried down the stairs, fake confidence plastered onto her face. "Sir, welcome. I was just going to inform you. Shamir raised a hand. His eyes were cold as steel. No lies, Ms. Arifa. Not today.
She froze.
The twins stepped forward. Dad knows everything, Rayyan said bluntly. You fired him out of jealousy, Zion added. Not because of any rule. Students gathering around gasped. Arifa's voice shook. This is a misunderstanding. Shamir stepped closer, towering over her. You fired an employee for helping children. You humiliated a man who is doing more for my sons than any teacher in this building. Arifa swallowed. He was violating policy. He was being human. Shamir thundered. The entire hallway went silent. Ayan watched quietly, clutching the strap of his borrowed bag. Shamir continued. You hid the truth from me. You manipulated the situation. And worst of all, you punished someone for kindness. Arifa stuttered. Sir, please? I was only following. You were following your ego. Shamir cut in. A security guard approached. Sir? Shamir nodded once. Escort her to the administration office. She's suspended pending investigation. Arifa's face collapsed. Sir, please. I've served this school for... But the guard gently took her by the arm. She realized it was over. As she walked away, defeated, the students whispered. She deserved it. She treated everyone badly. She finally got caught. Good for the janitor uncle. Arifa's heels clicked away for the last time. A new beginning. Shamir turned to the principal. Ayan Malik will be reinstated immediately. The principal, sweating nervously, nodded fast. Yes, of course. Rayyan added, smiling. Not as a janitor. Zion finished proudly, as the school's first learning coach. Ayan's eyes widened. Sir, I still don't know if I'm qualified. Shamir rested a hand on his shoulder. Qualification doesn't come from certificates. It comes from heart. And you have more of it than anyone here. For the first time in years, Ayan felt seen, respected, valued. The principal cleared his throat. Mr. Ayan, we would be honored to have you. Students began clapping. First a few, then dozens, then the entire lobby erupted in applause. Ayan lowered his head, overwhelmed, tears slipping silently down his cheeks. He had cleaned these floors for years. Today, he stood on them as a teacher. The finals. Over the next week, the twins worked harder than they ever had in their lives. Not because someone forced them, because someone believed in them. Ayan met them every morning before class, guiding them through difficult concepts with puzzles, stories, and visual tricks. No yelling, no pressure, no fear, just clarity, hope, encouragement. The night before finals, the twins sat outside on their balcony with Ayan, who had come over to check on them. Mina was there too, wrapped in a warm blanket, sipping hot chocolate the twins insisted on buying her. Rayyan nervously tapped his pencil. What if we fail? Ayan smiled. Then we try again. There's no shame in falling. Shame is only in giving up. Zion took a deep breath. We won't give up. None of them slept much that night. The results. A week later, the school posted exam results. Students rushed to the bulletin board, pushing and shouting. The twins walked slowly, hands shaking. They reached the board. Ayan stood behind them, heart pounding. Rayyan scanned the list, then froze. Zion leaned closer, and his mouth fell open. Rayyan Khan, 86%. Zion Khan, 88%. Above average. Clear pass. Huge improvement. Rayyan gasped. Zion covered his mouth. Ayan felt tears rising. The twins turned to him slowly, then suddenly threw their arms around him. We did it. You taught us. We couldn't have done it without you. You changed everything. Ayan hugged them back tightly, the way a father hugs his own children. When they pulled away, they saw someone standing behind them. Shamir. He walked forward, placed a hand on each son's shoulder, and whispered, I've never been prouder of you. The twins beamed through tears. Then Shamir turned to Ayan. You saved my sons, he said softly. You gave them confidence. You gave them a future. Ayan shook his head. No, sir. They saved themselves. I just showed them the angle. Shamir smiled. Then keep showing it. To every child who needs it. The secret that changed everything. As the final bell rang, students poured out of the school, laughing, cheering, celebrating. Rayyan looked at Ayan. Will you still teach us? Ayan chuckled. Beta main to hamesha hun. Zion added. What's the next secret? Ayan placed a hand on their heads. The biggest secret of all. They leaned in. The smartest people are not the ones who know all the answers. They're the ones who never stop learning. The twins smiled. Mina tugged Ayan's hand. Baba, can we all get ice cream? The twins grinned. Shamir laughed. And Ayan nodded, eyes warm. Of course, Mary John. The billionaire, the twins, the janitor turned teacher, and his little daughter walked out of the school together, like a family built not by blood, but by understanding, kindness, and a single powerful secret. Morning light poured into the billionaire's mansion as Liam and Noah sat on the edge of the grand sofa, waiting for their father. For once, they weren't scared. They weren't hiding test papers. They weren't making excuses. They finally knew the secret. And today, they were ready to prove it. The billionaire walks in. Mr. Grayson entered with his usual intimidating silence, coffee mug in one hand, tablet in the other. His eyes stopped the moment he saw the twins' grades placed on the table. A+.
A.
He froze. He blinked. His jaw slackened. Who wrote these for you? He whispered. Liam stood up straight. We did, Dad. Noah added. And we didn't memorize anything. We understood it. Mr. Grayson looked genuinely confused.
How?
Noah smiled, and the answer rolled out softly. The janitor taught us. The billionaire thinks it's a joke. Mr. Grayson frowned. David? He taught you. He almost laughed, almost. He's just. Not just anything, Dad. Liam cut him off for the first time in his life. He taught us something you never did, Noah said gently. Mr. Grayson's voice lowered. And what is that? The twins spoke in perfect sync, just like they always did when they felt something deeply. We are not failures. We just needed someone to believe in us. Mr. Grayson froze. Those words hit harder than any financial loss, harder than any courtroom defeat. Because he remembered that sentence years ago said by a woman he once loved. His late wife. You can't force brilliance out of children, she had told him. You must plant it gently and watch it grow. He had forgotten. David had reminded them. The billionaire calls the janitor. Within minutes, David was standing awkwardly in the living room, hands still smelling of floor cleaner, uniform still worn out, shoes still squeaking. Sir, did the boys do something wrong? Mr. Grayson walked up to him slowly. Then, he bowed his head. A billionaire bowing to a janitor. No, Mr. Grayson said, voice cracking. They finally did something right. Because you showed them how. David swallowed hard. I only taught them one thing, sir. And what was that? The billionaire asked. David looked at the boys and said, the secret is simple. When you believe in someone, they start believing in themselves. Silence.
Soft.
Respectful. Healing. The gift. Mr. Grayson cleared his throat, trying to regain his composure. How much do they pay you? He asked. David shrugged. Minimum wage, sir. Enough to. Not anymore. Mr. Grayson handed him a printed contract. You're now the head of student development at Grayson Academy. 5 times your salary. Benefits. Housing. Everything. David's mouth opened, but no words came. And, Mr. Grayson added, you'll personally mentor my sons as long as they want. Liam ran to him first. Noah followed. They hugged their father. But for the first time, it felt real. The final twist. As they all stood together, David whispered, You know, your wife once said you'd figure it out someday. Mr. Grayson stared. How did you know my wife?